and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly horoscope. My name is Terence Scardino. Monday, April the 17th, the Sun is very favorable with pragmatic Saturn. It is a good day for business, good day for common sense, especially since Mercury is still retrograde, remember, from the 9th of April until May the 3rd. And with Mercury in retrograde, Mercury is about communications, making decisions. And when it's retrograde, you may have to think twice. Make sure that you haven't made any mistakes. Do some further research. So on Monday, when you need to really be paying attention to the details in any kind of work situation, financial business situation, the Sun is great with Saturn. So you're being more conservative, more common sense, more grounded, and it might be a really good day for dusting off old ideas, that's the Mercury, and reintroducing them. Or you could be hearing from old business negotiations, or somebody that contacted you in the past is now reconnecting you. So it's not a new call, it's an old call. And on Monday, with the Sun with Saturn, maybe you can start building something productive. On Wednesday, the Sun is moving into the sign of Taurus for 1 month. And Taurus is more concerned with stability, being steady, making money. It's also a very sensual time. The previous month with the Sun in Aries, Aries is let's get going, let's go on an adventure, let's plant seeds. And in the month of Taurus, the seeds start to sprout and the flowers start to bloom. So it's an amorous time, it's a sensual time, but it's a time of establishing financial security. That's just kind of like the overview of Taurus. But on Wednesday, as the Sun moves into Taurus, it's going to align with that retrograde Mercury. So this is the Taurus keeps us very steady, likes the routine, so you're not being impulsive and crazy. And the Mercury in retrograde is you still have to really think about this, or it could be an old idea that's back on the table. But that Sun aligning with Mercury, it's a good day for learning, speaking, communications, brainstorming ideas. By Friday, Mars, ambitious, high-energy Mars, had been in Taurus for about 6 weeks, as it does every 2 years. But this Friday, Mars enters into the sign of Gemini for about 6 weeks. And Gemini is that energy of communications, curiosity, that Mars can indicate kind of like an overall energy for the world, is there's a lot more activity, Mars, with intellectual pursuits. More of a passion for reading, for communicating, for learning. But on Friday, as Mars is shifting gears, and when Mars was in Taurus, it was more concerned with accomplishing goals, making more money. But when it goes into Gemini for those 6 weeks, you're more, overall, there's more of this passion for ideas, networking, connecting ideas with others. But on that day, this Friday, Venus, which is now direct, it went direct on the 15th of April, but it's going to be in hard angle to Saturn one last time. Saturn is the great teacher. Saturn forces us to take a good hard look at reality. So with the Venus, which has a lot to do with relationships, as it's now starting to move forwards with one last test to Saturn, this can either be the final straw to, because Mercury's still retrograde, to let go of a relationship you've been trying to make to work out. But it could be for some of you by Friday, you don't have to end it. You might just be deciding, I don't think this is working out, but you won't make, and you might not make up your mind which way to go yet while Mercury's in retrograde. And then later realize, yeah, I got to let this go. But it can also be a very favorable time of finally resolving so many conflicts or misunderstandings. That Venus-Saturn in the positive is compelling you to work on your relationships. And now that the Venus is going direct, a lot of you can feel more secure in your relationships. Venus is also about art and creativity. And you might have been with the retrograde and back and forth to the Saturn, feeling creatively blocked or frustrated. And now by Friday, you could have another challenge creatively, but then realize you have to really work and really focus, and you break through. Unless you realize it's like, why am I beating my head against a brick wall? Let's create something else instead. Much like with a relationship. Before I sign off, I know, remind you I'm one of the astrologers at the Astrology Answers website that answers one question for a nominal fee. And like I always remind you, that a time of birth, even if you're saying it was dinner time, is really helpful for giving the best predictions. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week for my next segment. Until then, have a great week.